What is up, Waffle Gang? I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're covering some more r/am I the butthole. If you'd like to skip the initial waffle, timestamps are in the description and along the timeline below, but if you are new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe and maybe that notification bell too, as it all really helps out our channel. Now, apologies firstly if you hear any banging in the background. My neighbour decided he's going to fix his fence today. I swear he is actually looking over the fence. Oh, I'm so sorry I had to cut off there. I looked over just as I was saying that and I can literally just see my neighbour's head peering over the fence at me. It was so embarrassing. Anyway, I digress. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for spending the time out of your day to be here. It really does mean the world. And let's crack on with today's stories. Much love, guys. Now, our first story comes from a throwaway account. Am I the arsehole for continuing to refuse to attend family holidays because I am no contact with my brother over a betrayal that happened 5 years ago? I, 33 male, am having an issue where my family is pressuring me to resume contact with my brother, 35 male, after I went no contact years ago. 5 years ago, my brother and I were working at the same company. I'd been there for 3 years and he had been there for 2. He was hired because I referred him when they were looking for new employees. When a management position came open, he and I both applied for it and told each other it was no hard feelings if the other one got it. He was hired for the position and I was not. I was genuinely happy for him and did not have any negative feelings about him getting hired. I was proud of him and thought he deserved it. A few months ago, after he was hired for the position, my former boss, who I had a great relationship with, left the company and asked me out for lunch. He told me in confidence that the reason my brother was hired over me was that my brother took an email I sent him venting about a work issue and forwarded it to the hiring manager to explain why I was not a good fit for the position. I confronted him about this and he admitted it, and said he thinks it wasn't an underhanded thing to do because it simply showed how I wasn't meant for management, because that's not how managers act. I was devastated. I cut him out of my life completely. I told him that he was no longer my brother and to forget that I even existed. He tried to justify his betrayal and told me that it wasn't as serious as I was making it out to be, but I refused to be swayed despite massive pressure from my family to make peace with him. I found another job and I seldom interact with family due to how I feel I was shown very little sympathy for what he did to me. The attitude I got from my family was essentially that it was not a nice thing to do, but he has children to take care of, so it's understandable that I do anything to make more money to provide a better life for them. My mother said this to me almost verbatim. He has attempted to contact me several times over the years, and once we ran into each other at a store, but I ignored him and kept walking. He was not invited to my wedding, and he and his wife have not met my wife or my firstborn 10 months. My parents have been allowed to come visit, but my mother told me that the holidays aren't right without my family there, and they have begged me to put the past behind us and let this go so we can be family again. My wife sides with me and thinks that my brother is an arsehole. We spend Christmas with her family instead of visiting mine. Am I the arsehole for continuing to hold this grudge? I'm going to have to say not the arsehole in this situation, simply because, you know, if he was that desperate for money, that desperate for the position, he could have approached you and talked about it. I know it would have been a really awkward conversation to have, but it's much better than going behind your brother's back and then stabbing him in the back over like this. And I totally understand your actions over this. And I'm assuming in this situation, he's never actually apologized to you, which makes him even more of an arsehole for doing what he did. So yeah, not the arsehole in this situation, but Hellblazer Hawk says not the arsehole, you forgive him when you are ready, and if he needed the money for his family, why not just say, hey brother, I know we are both gunning for this promotion, but I need this for my kids, would you mind pulling out of the running? Him sandbagging you like that not only screwed you out of that job, but any other potential openings that would have been happened while you were there, you know. And Adept One says, not the arsehole, your brother is the worst, and frankly I'm shocked they would offer him a management position after he did what he did. I would never want someone that backstabby working for me or managing a team. That being said, if you did want to move past this, it's not unreasonable. I'd never trust him with any information again, but being civil and distant is possible. And Baseball said, God damn, your brother is a fucking rat. You don't need that negativity, my friend. Keep him out of your life and keep people who value you and respect you. That's a real family. And Sassy B Sassy says, not the arsehole, there were plenty of other options for your brother to take, and to undermine your chances was bullshit. He could have said to you that you needed money for the family or anything really, asking you to step aside so he can get it. I don't know, man. I wouldn't forgive him either. The family pressure needs to stop. Set up boundaries and consequences. If your mother or anyone pressures and boundary stomps, then there's consequences. Would you be able to forgive him for what he did, and would you be able to move past that kind of betrayal? Let me know in the comments below. And our next story comes from Sensitive Quantity 489. Am I the arsehole for calling my daughter out for breaking the pinky promise marriage pledge? I am an incredibly devout Christian woman with what I thought was an equally committed Christian daughter that is 28. I was proud of her for so long. She is a physical therapist, a youth leader, and preached the importance of following the word of Christ her whole life. She has started seeing a new man her age that seemed very wholesome when I first met him. When she was in college, the Pinky Promise movement was founded. This movement was started by a spiritual leader, Heather Lindsay, and relies on the premise of absolute abstinence until marriage. The goal is to help both Christians honor God through their bodies and refrain from premarital kissing, fornication, pornography, and other acts of sexual expression outside the blessing of marriage. I got my daughter to take this pledge. She was hesitant but ultimately agreed. I thought she would live up to this pledge until I overheard her talking to her cousin this Christmas about the man she has been seeing. My daughter made a comment how the sex was mind-blowing, which left me stunned. I assume she said this because she was embarrassed to admit to her cousin that she was a virgin still, since that is sadly uncommon in this day and age and a source for peer pressure even among adults. I talked to my daughter about it on New Year's. She had a little more wine than normal, so she spoke more forcefully than I expected. She confirmed that they were indeed having sex. I was heartbroken and just told her that she broke her pinky promise pledge and that it wasn't right to be engaging in sexual behaviour before marriage. I could have forgiven kissing, as it might be unrealistic to expect everyone to live up to Heather Lindsay's standard of spiritual purity, but sex was something else. My daughter just lost her temper and told me that she had been having sex since she was 17 years old. She said that a pinky promise was a ridiculous cult-like idea, and that she didn't feel like she was a bad Christian for drinking, having sex, or joining sorority when she was in college. I didn't know about any of this. She never told me about being in sorority as a student, except for the occasional glass of wine. I felt stunned and shocked that my daughter had lied to me for years about everything. I said this and she said it didn't matter what I thought. She called me a slew of hurtful names, including judgmental, controlling, and a couple of expletives. I asked our pastor to reach out to her and tell her sex is a gift that should only be shared between a married couple, but he said it was not his place unless she reached out. I feel like the two of them are ganging up on me because he told me in nicer terms to stop passing judgment. I tried speaking to her boyfriend as well about not having sex, but my daughter just got even madder after and told me to never call her again. Was I wrong to confront her kids like this? Should I have waited for her to discover Christ's path on her own? Now, I always look at these ones and go, are they real? Are they not real? And does it matter in some ways? If it is real, you know, it's an absolutely crazy story. But if it isn't real, you know someone out there has gone through something similar like this. And I did just have a quick Google and there is a Pinky Promise movement, so there is that, right? But Corgi Huntress says, you're the arsehole and your pastor is right. You are judgmental and your daughter is right that you are controlling. You made her take the promise even though she was hesitant, meaning she did it only to please you. She didn't want it. Your practice of your religion is wonderful, but forcing it onto someone else, even someone you care about, is a jerk move. She's 28. She's capable of deciding what her religious values are, and those are between her and God, and not for you to judge, change, or otherwise interfere. Stay in your lane. And Bacon, Egg and Cheese says, you have got to be trolling. Yes, you're the arsehole. Your daughter is a grown woman and purity pledges are harmful and cult-like. I'm glad your pastor had the good sense to remind you that your daughter has bodily autonomy and it was neither his place nor yours to make judgment on her sex life. And Hungry Guy says, and quotes, I got my daughter to take this pledge. She was hesitant but ultimately agreed. And then says, we got ourselves a live one here, folks. A real life puckering arsehole. You're the arsehole. Monster says, you're the arsehole. I think this is probably rage bait or an excuse to pretend that Christians are somehow victimized, but I will go ahead and take the bait. As a fellow Christian, you never should have pressured her to take such a ridiculous pledge in the first place. Her spiritual path, her conscience, her interpretation of the Bible, and her relationship to God is her own. You and these kind of pledges cheapen that. You use social pressure to cheat her out of exploring her faith, so that she is left with a fear of punishment rather than the joy of knowing the nature of her soul. Shame on you. And Angelina Wolf Angel says, you really do sound controlling. You said you made your daughter take the pledge and she was reluctant. OP, you're the arsehole and sound awful. I'm surprised your daughter still contacts you, just minimally. I'm not surprised she did any of those things, including keeping things from you. Now, what do you guys think of this story? And also, I feel like I should mention, I know not all Christians are like this too. I know very many good Christians, and I'm sure we got lots in the comments too. So don't think I'm judging the whole religion based on this, right? And our next story comes from Dry Paleontologist. Am I the arsehole for not wanting to share my pizza? I saw a pizza story and I thought I got to jump on that one. This post is going to sound very stupid, but I need to make sure I was not in the wrong. I spent New Year's Eve at a friend's house and she invited 2 other people I didn't know. We ordered 3 pizzas to share between 4 of us. I told them I was vegetarian and very allergic to fish, so we took 1 veggie pizza and they chose 1 with meat and a 3rd with tuna. What the fuck? You're the arsehole. I'm just joking. I expected it to be obvious I would eat most of the vegetarian pizza, as none of them had food restrictions and chose the other pizzas together. But that wasn't the case. When the delivery came, one of the girls decided she wasn't feeling like eating meat anymore and ate only the veggie pizza, which would have been fine if the other 2 didn't take a few slices of it as well. I politely asked if they could take from the other pizzas and leave me the rest of the veggie one, but the girl said that it was not mine and that we ordered them for everyone. I made it known again that I couldn't eat from the other ones, but she argued that my own dietary choice shouldn't impact what other people eat. Sorry for the awkward translation, and that if she didn't want to eat the meat that day, I would be a hypocrite to force her. I was really annoyed, but the other 2 people didn't say anything, so I decided not to insist. I ended up eating almost nothing, and they didn't finish the other 2 pizzas because they all had enough. I could have eaten a few more slices if they were not covered in meat and fish. When my friend complained that they were wasting food, I said exactly that, and the girl went on me again with her dumb arguments. Am I the arsehole for expecting them to leave a bigger part of the only pizza I could eat? Edit, you guys are making me laugh with your reactions to the tuna pizza. I didn't think it sounded so strange. I live in Italy and it's actually a popular topping here, and in a lot of other European countries. There's a pizza called tonno e cipolla. How's that for Italian? As someone pointed out in the comments, yeah, I know it's awful Italian. Don't get on my back about that. Putting myself in the friend's position in this story, I think I would feel exactly the same. Like, I know that pizza was mainly for you, right? And to leave enough of it for you, it's just being considerate, isn't it, really? It's so, you got to be not the arsehole in this situation. You are arseholes for ordering a tuna pizza, though. I'm only playing with you. But this is a reason whenever pizza is ordered, I always order my own pizza. I hate getting up in these little rucks where everyone wants to share each other's pizzas and all that sort of stuff, and then you get left with the shit ones. Hell no, I'm going to order exactly what I want. Meat pizza all day, all the meats. Don't get me started. But Bubbledge says, not the arsehole. What the fuck is wrong with this girl? Who puts tuna on a pizza? It's like they did it on purpose. I wouldn't hang out with these people again, but if you do, order from a different pizza place and pay for it on your own. Then tell them to fuck off. And Tater Tots McGee says, not the arsehole, your friends were pretty inconsiderate. I'm not vegetarian, but I have a couple of friends that are. It's not that difficult to find a place to eat or make a couple of dishes that meet their diet. It takes a little more effort, the smallest amount, to ensure they are included, / not hungry. Your friends should have just ordered another vegetarian pizza when they realised they liked it more than the others. Veggie pizza is awesome. And Coconut Shave says, not the arsehole, I think it's common courtesy not to eat the vegetarian option when that means there won't be enough for the vegetarian. If she didn't eat meat or fish, she should have spoken up when the pizzas were being ordered. Usually I'll say I'm fine with ordering meatless in that situation because I can go either way and it makes things easier. She was really a jerk for digging in after you pointed out what was happening. And Great Gatsby says, not the arsehole, they chose pizzas you couldn't eat. That was their fault, not yours. And while I slightly disagree, the vegetarian pizza was ordered. And I think if I was ordering a pizza in a group of friends like that, I would still want my meat pizza, but I'd ensure that the vegetarian person got their veggie pizza and it was specifically for them. But the pizza arguments, man, I get really wound up with them. And KFC, pizza and KFC, and Indian too. Actually, any takeaways. What would you do in this situation? Let me know in the comments below. And our next story is from New Dad 2021. Am I the arsehole for arguing with the nurse about filling out my son's birth certificate? Throw away, blah blah. Anyway, my male 34 wife, female 29, gave birth to our first baby boy last night, almost an hour before the new year, 2021. He was born at 11:05 PM. He's healthy, thank God, and my wife is doing alright. Our families are happy and we're excited to welcome our new baby boy into their life. I was provided with a form by the nurse to fill out. I added the information needed till I reached the time and date of birth. Instead of adding December 31st, 2020, 11:05, I decided to add January 1st, 2021, 12:05. 1 hour difference wasn't really a problem. The nurse stopped me and asked what I was doing. She said that I filled the blanks with a false information and wanted me to refill the blanks with the exact time and date of birth. I argued with her about it and told her that she was making a huge deal out of it, and this was unfair to my son because he only lived in 2020 for just 1 hour. Plus 2020 was a shitty year, and I'm glad it's finally over and I don't want my son to be associated with it. So adding 2021 would make more sense. I told her it didn't matter and that was better that way. After she tried to argue with me, telling me that what I was doing is considered forgery and would cause a huge issue because it's not just an hour I was changing, but the date as well. I told her that I'm his dad, so I get I told her that I'm his dad, so I get a say and take full responsibility for anything that happens later. She lashed out at me and told me that is not how this works, and that this form will not be accepted because it contained false information. She got more people involved, including the pediatrician, who disrespected me by raising his voice. I told them that I'm the parent, I have the authority. They ended up taking the form and didn't let me fill it out. My wife said that I embarrassed her by making a scene and acting stupid and lashing out. My family heard about the issue and disagreed with me, saying I ruined their joy and caused my wife to be stressed out. My brother agreed that it was ridiculous for them to focus on a specific time and said that technically my son was born on 2021 because he'd have the whole year to live, but only 1 hour of 2020. Edit, calm down people, you're not giving me a chance to explain. Edit 2, people calling me an idiot and other names, you should have some respect. My dad passed away in 2020, I lost a close friend in May, I've struggled and I'm still struggling financially after leaving my job involuntarily, and other shit happened as well. I hate 2020 and I wish it never even existed. Now firstly, the story is absolutely ridiculous in itself, but I do feel sorry for him that he's lost his dad and obviously lost a close friend too and struggling financially because of his job. That no one wants to see someone else in that position, right? But trying to control time yourself, mate, is not the way forward. They are legal documents and these dates are filled out for a reason, not for you to just change willy-nilly. But Farrokh says you're the arsehole. As a parent, you don't have authority over space and time. His date and time of birth is a fact, not an opinion. And Apple Pie replied to that saying, what? Being a parent don't make you a Time Lord? Wind River 7 says you're the arsehole, birth certificates are legal records. The hospital and staff are not about to get into legal trouble because of your antics. I'm guessing that you will not be seeing any more forms and that your wife will be filling it out. You can always console yourself that you have an income tax deduction for 2020. What is that? Someone else said that just recently actually about a birth and tax deduction. Let me know if you know. And Bright Copper Kettle says you're the arsehole and quotes, my brother agreed that it was ridiculous for them to focus on a specific time and said that technically my son was born on 2021 because he had the whole year to live but only 1 hour of 2020. And then says your brother is the arsehole as well, and neither of you know what technically means. While you have become a father, you are not father time, so shut the fuck up and fill out the form correctly. And don't give medical professionals a hard time. They have more important things to do than argue with a self-important doofus. And Dark says, you're the arsehole, you're expecting a nurse to break the law for you. It would cost her job. Grow up. And Cool says, you're the arsehole, starting off a new year and new life with fraud. You should be proud to tell your son that nearly all of 2020 sucked, but then he was born, and the last 55 minutes of 2020 were the best 55 minutes of your life up to that point. Instead of making him feel like his birth year is a shameful secret that tainted his arrival. And let's not forget about his wife, just given birth, and she sat there watching her husband make an absolute scene. How embarrassing would that be in that situation? I'd be totally mortified. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think of the situation? Let me know in the comments below. And our next story comes from Filipino Fairy. Am I the arsehole for never introducing my 21 female friend, 21 female, to her ultimate boy crush, 22 male? My close friend has talked about this guy being her crush for the past few months. He's famous online as somewhat of a local model. She wants to seriously date him, not just like, ooh, I love Harry Styles type of thing, but she sends me his TikToks and photos every time he posts, and she talks about someday meeting him and finding out a way to date him. This is more than fan behavior, but she doesn't recognize it as that because he's somewhat attainable because he goes to the same university as me and her other friends. Something she didn't know is that he was actually my high school friend, and he and I have kept in touch since then. He goes to the same uni as me and we sometimes get lunch together. We are genuinely friends, which made it so awkward for me to see her random messages. I never told her I knew him because I didn't want to be that, oh he's famous and we're friends type of girl, and I didn't want him getting weirded out by me talking about him in that way since we have a close relationship. Recently though, she found out through a work throwback pic that he posted on his Instagram that we're friends. It was an ugly picture of me with bangs and his arms around me. I was mortified. She started getting angry at me, telling me I was so selfish for never introducing them and how I could have made her dreams come true of dating him if I cared enough about her love life. She put me on ignored and never responded to my messages again after that. If I'm being completely honest, if she was just a fan I really would have introduced her, but she was borderline stalker and talked about him as if they were already together. I didn't tell her this, just that I was sorry and I wish she understood my boundaries. Am I the arsehole for not connecting my close friend with a celebrity crush because I thought it was borderline creepy? Now I kind of want to say she's showing stalker behavior, but that might be too serious and I'm not sure if it is or not. I don't know too much about this topic, but I think you are doing the right thing in this situation by keeping them separate. And you know, with stalker mentality, they sort of get the picture in their head of like their fantasy of what their love life will be like, them being with this person and what their life will be like after. So I think you saved your friend in this situation and I cannot blame you for that. But Annie Nerd says, not the arsehole, you really saved that dude from a stalker. She sounded straight up creepy. Is the friendship officially over? And OP replies, to be honest, I don't know if it's over because she's not replying to me anymore. She's actually a good friend in every other way, but that one situation. We've been friends for 2 years now, and it would be dumb to break it off because of this. And Ace Dragonborn says, not the arsehole, I have been in her spot before and I regret it looking back. She has an idea of who is in her head. He probably isn't going to match that idea. Could you have mentioned you were friends? Maybe, but if she was on that level of, we will meet, get married and have kids, then you were just protecting your friend. He might even appreciate you not telling your friend that and introducing them, if he is in the know. And Raven says, not the arsehole, she seems to have issues and you're being a good friend to both of them by not introducing them. Him by protecting him from a possibility of an unstable stalker. Her by protecting him from herself. The whole, if I could meet him, I would find a way for us to date, is dangerous thinking that could lead to jail time for harassment. Please don't introduce them. Hopefully she will get help for her obsession. It's not healthy. And Fuzzy Mike says, not the arsehole, you're protecting your high school buddy from an obsessive fan. Her ignoring you sounds like a win-win. Now, I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think of this situation? And do you think OP was right to not introduce them? Let us know in the comments below. Now, once again, guys, thank you for being here today. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to be here. It's absolutely amazing of you. And do not forget that. Yeah, I'm just so thankful. And I will see you in the next one. Much love, guys.